What happens when a marriage, a union that's officially on the books, is built on a complete phantom? We're talking about a document that's listed on the marriage contract but might never have actually existed. So let's get into this really fascinating legal mystery that all boils down to one tricky question: how in the world do you prove something isn't there?
So, if you just look at the paperwork, everything seems totally above board. This is the official marriage contract for Angelina Castro and Edwin Cardenas. I mean, look at it. It's got the date, the place, a judge's signature, and right there, plain as day, a specific marriage license number. It looks absolutely ironclad, you know? The kind of thing that says, yep, these two are legally married, end of story.
And that is the question that blows this whole thing wide open. What do you do when the one document that's the very foundation of the marriage, the license itself, either vanishes from the official records, or maybe, just maybe, it was never even there to begin with? This is where it gets really, really interesting. Okay, so this whole legal fight kicks off because of a single document, that marriage contract, that's basically telling two completely different stories at the same time. One story is about a real marriage, and the other, it's about something that might have been a total fiction. Now, the human side of this is pretty messy and honestly a little sad. Angelina and Edwin had what she called a secret marriage because she didn't want her parents to know. They only started living together after she found out she was pregnant, and that lasted for just 4 months. They split up, and their child was later adopted by Angelina's brother. It was this short, intense relationship that ended up having these huge, long-lasting legal ripple effects.
All right, so now let's see how this very personal story turns into a full-blown legal battle. Years go by, and Angelina decides she needs to sort out her life. And that means finally facing the truth about what her marriage really was.
And her reason for doing this is pretty powerful. She wanted to join her daughter, who was in the United States. But before she could do that, she had to get her official status figured out. Was she married, divorced, a widow? So she went to a lawyer to try and get the marriage annulled. And what they found completely changed the game.
And boom, this right here is the smoking gun. Her lawyer did the logical thing. He went to the civil registry in Pasig, the exact office that supposedly issued the license, and asked for a copy. The official response they got back was just stunning. It didn't just say they couldn't find it. The certification clearly states that the license number does not appear from our records. That's a huge difference.
Now, this piece of paper has a very specific legal name, and as it turns out, a whole lot of power. It's called a Certificate of Due Search and Inability to Find. The best way to think of it is as an official, legally binding statement that says, hey, we're the people who keep these records, we've looked everywhere, and we officially certify that the thing you're looking for, it's not here. It doesn't exist in our files. It's the system's official way of proving a negative.
But of course, it wasn't that simple. Armed with this killer piece of evidence, Angelina filed a case to have her marriage declared null and void. But then the government, representing the Republic of the Philippines, actually stepped in to fight her on it, setting the stage for a major showdown.
And the state came in with some really heavy legal arguments. First, they said the law always presumes a marriage is valid. It's the default setting. Second, they argued we have to assume public officials, like the judge, did their jobs correctly and wouldn't perform a marriage without a real license. They even dismissed Angelina's own story as self-serving, and then they made their biggest claim. That certificate doesn't prove the license never existed, just that they couldn't find it. So this is what the whole case boils down to. On one side, you have Angelina's proof, a physical document from the official source saying the record isn't there. And on the other side, you have the state's powerful legal principle, the idea that we just have to presume everything was done by the book unless someone comes forward with truly overwhelming evidence. So that's the big legal puzzle, right? Which one wins? Does a piece of paper certifying an absence count as the overwhelming proof you need to knock down this really strong legal assumption that the marriage must have been valid? Well, the case bounced around. The first court sided with the government. Then the appellate court sided with Angelina. So it had to go all the way up the ladder to the Supreme Court for the final, definitive word on the matter.
And the Supreme Court's decision was incredibly clear and direct. They sided with Angelina Castro. Period. The marriage was declared void.
The court declared the marriage void ab initio. Now that's a really important legal term. It doesn't just mean the marriage is over, like an annulment. It means that in the eyes of the law, a valid marriage never even existed. It was invalid from the very beginning because a key ingredient was missing. And the court's logic was just beautifully simple. They broke it down. Step 1. The law is crystal clear. You must have a marriage license. It's essential, no exceptions. Step 2, that's certification from the civil registrar. That's the official legally sanctioned tool for proving a record doesn't exist. So step 3, the conclusion is simple. You put those two together, and the certificate is more than enough proof that there was no license. And no license means no valid marriage. Game over.
You see, this case is way bigger than just one person's story. It sets a really important precedent about how our entire legal system is supposed to work. It answers that fundamental question: how do you officially prove that something didn't happen?
So where does that little certificate get all its power? It's not magic, it's written right into the rules. Rule 132, Section 29 of the Rules of Court is what gives it its legal muscle. It's the rule that explicitly says a certification from an official keeper of records is legitimate evidence that the record is not there. The law itself gives you the tool you need to prove a negative.
So the big takeaway from all of this is that our legal system actually has a built-in safety valve for dealing with phantom records like this one. That certificate of due search is strong enough to beat even the powerful legal idea that official acts are always valid. And that's crucial because it means our official life stories, the ones told through birth certificates, marriage licenses, and degrees, can actually be fixed when there's a mistake, or, like in this case, a complete fabrication.
And that leaves us with one final thing to think about: your birth, your citizenship, your marriage, your education. Think about how many of the most critical moments of your entire life are proven by a single piece of paper, filed away somewhere in a dusty government office. This case is a huge reminder of just how important those little records are, and how incredibly vital it is to have a way to prove it when they're not there at all.